What's up, 12s? It's Loaf the Tuba with the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NorbCam.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you with another edition of Coach's Corner. Yes, with my good friend, Coach Bill Marsh. I'm going to bring him on in just a second as we'll be talking about this new look offense. What is it going to look like for Seattle come 2021 under the new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron? This is a part 3 of a multi-part series as we're getting deep into the weeds on what this offense potentially could look like and the exciting potential that it brings. So I'm excited to have Coach Marsh on here to talk about that, to break down some film and talk a little history of the West Coast offense. So before I bring him on, I want to quickly remind everybody, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd smash the like button right over there, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It would be a great help to my channel. So I'd appreciate if you do that. And also to thank the members of NORBFAM, the MVPs, Nick LeBeau, Anthony D, Jesse Soap, Ryker Rockstar, NINJA-CRK, Lori Cross, and the All-Pros, Maria Maraj, Jason E, KC Sportsnerd, Aidan, Pham, BJ, Michael Page, Albert Delgado, and IBeDave Jones. Thank you so much for your guys' support. So let's not waste another second because we have a lot to get into. So I'd like to welcome back to the show again, the coach of Coach's Corner, Coach Bill Marsh, my good friend of many years. Coach Marsh, welcome back, my friend.
Hey, how are you, buddy? It's great to be back. I'm having an absolute blast doing this series with you, and just looking forward to another week of doing what we're doing, looking at the West Coast offense.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I've really enjoyed learning about this. This has been a year, I'd say I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of football, but I feel like I've really learned a lot between playing Madden, which that's funny to think of that as an educational form, but it has been because you have to learn the plays, you learn what the routes are and things like that in terms of the terminology they use. So I've learned a little bit more than I normally had before I played that, but really your insight on your coaching experience of breaking down Seahawks plays of the 2021 season, in really deep form, from footwork to technique to, routes where they should or should not have gone, where the Russells should or should not have thrown the ball, that sort of thing. And now here we are talking about, again, a head start on next year, which I really love because I think this is what I think is really valuable for people watching out there, is that you really give people something to look for other than we all watch the ball, where it goes, watch the quarterback and where the ball goes, but you have us look for other things. And I really think it's been a great educational benefit, being able to look at games with a different perspective. So that's one thing I really appreciate having you on here on the Coach's Corner.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that's one of the things I'm trying to do here as we get ready to bounce into this stuff is, allow people a chance to see the game, not necessarily through a coach's lens, but just to enjoy it that much more. I think that's why people love going to games, because when you go to any sporting event, you get to see it from so many different, vantage points, even from your seat, right? You notice the players, how far they're moving, you see the sidelines, but when you're watching 2-dimensionally on a television, you really only kind of have that little box or rectangle now that you're looking at. And so I'm trying to teach people to look inside the box, not the rectangle, in terms of the actual player's box, and see if you can find plays, how it's happening, so you can enjoy, so when you're watching the game with your dad, you can immediately predict plays and see what's coming, or understand the sense of, hey, they ran this early on, it's not working, but maybe it's because they're setting up something else. Because we all love predicting stuff, right? We all love saying, I think they're going to do this. But it's way more fun when you can have some sort of an educated guess on it. And I don't know, I'm certainly no expert on any of this type of stuff, but I love the game and I'm a sponge of the game. And I feel like after nearly 30 years that I should do something with it. So I just appreciate you giving me this opportunity. And I'm really having a blast with this piece. We got after Russ and some other things, but I think now that we feel like, hey, we kind of turned a new page. Now we're talking about next year to really dive into it and dive into what Russ has done and back into his past. It's been a blast for me, man, getting ready for these shows. Absolute blast. I'm trying not to put too much into each show because it's so fun. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to encourage everybody, again, if you have comments or questions, throw them in the chat. Obviously, super chats will definitely get our attention. We will also be taking calls at a certain point of the show, midway through and at the end. And you can do so by joining the Discord, which the link is at the top of the chat as well as in the description. And I also bring the phone number. You can see it right here, 515-606-5121, and then enter the code 696153. Haven't used the phone line in a while, but I thought, hey, why not? Let's bring some phone calls in for those people who can't get on Discord. You can call in that way. So let's just see how many calls we can get. Questions for the coach. And Anthony D, first one with the super chat. He says, hey, Norb, how's it going? Please pray for me that I will be getting a driver's license pretty soon because I'm told I need to drive and I'm scared to do so. LOL. P.S. Got your message about my $50 super chat. You got it. LOL. So, yeah, Anthony D has been a longtime supporter of mine on my channel. He's a very talented guy, likes to do music and writes film scripts, and he's a budding filmmaker and songwriter. And he's been hugely supportive of my channel. The last show, he did a big $50 super chat donation. I thank you, man. I said, but don't save your money. I should say don't waste your money because, it's not a waste, I don't think, but definitely save it because you need it, especially when you start driving around. You got to pay for gas and insurance and all that kind of stuff. So good luck with your license. My daughter just got hers just a few months ago, and it was definitely a stressful time going through for her to doing the written exam and then taking the actual test itself. It's nice to get that done. So, good luck to you, man. I know that's a big accomplishment. So I'm with you. Hope it works. Hope it goes well. So thank you, Anthony D, for the support. All right, Coach. Well,
you know what I like about that, and we're going to dive right in. I love someone who's scared about driving because it means they're going to be the quote unquote defensive driver, right?
Yeah.
Same thing about players. Like I think when you get into games, anything else, like if a player isn't scared, and I'm not talking like afraid to play, I just mean it's taking that being afraid and turning it into focus, turning it into excitement. I used to tell my players all the time, you're not nervous, you're excited. When you're nervous is when you're just unsure, you don't think you can do it. You're excited, you just never been told that that's the way to look at it. So same thing, man. That's my way of kind of segueing from a driver's license piece into playing football and everything else. So
yeah, it is. And like driving, though, Russell has this, mantra, separations isn't the preparation. Driving, playing a game, playing Madden, doing a show like this, it all involves some form of preparation. Because if you don't prepare, there's definitely going to be some things that will go wrong. Even when you do prepare, things go wrong.
And
but
a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, but the chances go down the more better prepared you are. So the better you study for your tests, practice, you'll be ready to go. You'll kill it when you get out there, man. So, good luck, Anthony D. All right, Coach, speaking of killing it, you ready to kill it on this one? I'm ready to jump in on see what you got.
Fun, man. We got some fun stuff. So here's where we're going to start, man. I mean, this is going to be, I'm going to take us to kind of a crazy spot. And, I'm going to keep myself timed on certain things and other things. I'm just going to kind of roll and I'll let you say, hey, we got to move on to the next thing, but I'll keep it tight because I'm going to take us back in time, both with Russell Wilson and with the NFL, not prehistoric like, but just in terms of the West Coast offense. Cause as you know, big fan of it all the way back to the 80s, loved Bill Walsh, Montana Rice. We grew up in that era. So what I'm going to start with has to do with Russell Wilson back in high school. So here we are back in the high school days. Now, let me tell you something about Russ real quick, Norb. In his 3 years as a starting quarterback, back where he played, 3 state titles. Now, I'm not even going to talk about basketball and baseball. The guy is batting over 400 and drafted like in the 40th something round. But I tried to just focus on the basketball and baseball part. But I do have to read a couple of his stats as we get ready as I show this. Now, I'm going to let this run because it's only about a minute long. So I'm not telestrating over his high school play. I just want people to appreciate what the guy did. There is one play that I might come back to. So I'm going to let this play. But I also want you to listen to his stats. Like this guy has been a winner his entire life. And he's also been, individually a winner, obviously, but it obviously came from somewhere. So again, obviously he's playing quarterback and you might see a defensive player too. As a junior, he threw for 3,280 yards, 40 touchdowns, and rushed for 634 yards and 15 touchdowns. And he was all state as a 5'11", 180-pound junior. Then he gets to a senior. So that's 3,200 yards and 600 yards rushing, 55 total touchdowns. Then he gets to a senior year where it's got to be, hold on. This is the play though. Watch the defensive end. It is awesome. It's so funny to watch the defensive end do something. We talked last week about or last show about people having to do their job. I just got to take this one thing back, and then I'll play it the rest of the way. Going back to right here, where you'll see the defensive end for whoever they're playing, whatever this high school team is 10 years ago. This defensive end right here, he's obviously told, hey, contain that Wilson kid, which I told people all the time. We're our defensive coordinator all the time. Hey, don't let that scrambling quarterback out of the pocket. Watch how many times this defensive end has a great shot to go after Russell Wilson and tackle him, as a high school player. And this kid just keeps backing up and keeps his edge, but allows Russell to make a 50-yard dime of a pass. Again, watch the defensive end. Comes in, he's got his job. Hey, I just got to contain him. Okay, I got my job done. Oh, he's coming back towards me. I got him. Well, nope, I'm going to hold my edge. And now he's going to back up. I'm going to hold my edge. I'm going to hold my edge. Like he did like the UTEP two-step there to make sure Russell didn't get him. We'll come back to the super chat. Let me finish this reading real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
On the senior year, 3,009 yards, 34 touchdowns, 1,132 yards rushing, and 18 touchdowns. That's 4,400 yards he accounted for. 1,800 yards rushing in 2 seasons, 6,200 yards passing in 2 seasons, 74 touchdowns passing, and 33 touchdowns rushing. And I only got his senior season interceptions, which were only 7. All state both years, state titles, homecoming king. I mean, and I actually found articles where he's doing community service, like back before social media is really taken out. Like, it's just so neat to see the genuine side of what he was and how he evolved into what he's become here. So let me come back to us for just a second, because what that tells me is the guy, and people know that, a lot of people know that his dad was, very influential. His dad almost made the San Diego Chargers as a player, made it through to one of the final cuts. So there's obviously been football prowess. He spoke about his dad quite a bit in the early years, but to hear those type of stats, and he didn't play in the, poor man's league, as we used to call it, where I used to kind of play in high school and some other things. Like it was tough, and it was tough football. I mean, like they're playing against tough teams and all that type of stuff. Yeah, he's making plays that are they're off the charts. It'd be fun to break those down, but we certainly won't. So fast forward to.
Oh, so before we do that, let me just quickly recognize Anthony D with the super chat says, following up with the driving thing, he says, if that happens, we'll come to Seattle for my birthday this year. Tell your daughter I said, congrats on getting a license, making it rain, by the way. Save your money. Anthony D, LOL. All right. Well, again, Anthony D, hopefully that does happen. And if you did come to Seattle, I'll be happy to meet up with you when you come to town, man. So, all right.
Yeah, I keep telling people it'd be so much easier for so many of your fans if they just moved into Pacific Standard Time Zone. But right. Oregon's a really great place to move. No offense to Seattle, because I love Seattle, but it's getting so crowded here. Like, I'm not one of those don't move to Washington because you're from other states, but Oregon's a beautiful place to live too. Just get to the West Coast so you can watch Norb and myself, in a regular timestamp.
Yeah, speaking of Oregon, they do have the last blockbuster down there in was it Bend, Oregon, or something like that?
You obviously watched the Netflix special.
I did.
Christy and I watched it the other night, and we were just blown away.
It was awesome.
We were thinking about driving down because Bend is one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
Yeah.
It's a great reason to go. Like, if we can convince them both, let's do a 6-hour drive to go see a video store. You and I can go.
Yep. It would be fun to do for sure. All right.
I'm actually glad that we had that pause, because I missed one crucial note here.
Oh.
Here's Russ in his state title game. I mean, this is crazy when I found this stat. Again, a lot of this stuff I had never seen, or I hadn't seen a Russell Wilson high school highlight video before, and had to dig deep into the trenches to find it. But it was a blast when I located it. State title game. He was 21 of 30, and I'll tell you this, 21 of 37 for 291 yards and 2 touchdowns. His rushing was 30 rushes for 223 yards and 3 touchdowns. He counted for nearly 600 yards. He did count for 520 yards and 5 touchdowns on 30 rushes and 37 attempts. I mean, there had to be only 80 or so plays in that game, and he's throwing on all of them and running, keeping the ball on the others. I mean, it's just like, man, oh man. Like, when guys are doing their research, when Schneider's doing their research, you better believe they go back to those levels. I mean, Coach Smith would tell me that all the time. Yeah, man, we're digging into people's, not just the personal stuff, but all the way back to whenever they started playing. Do they show anything? Holy cow, man. Does that if we had heard that when we drafted him, we'd have all been like, oh yeah, he's probably going to be something special for us. We didn't know right away, but we'll see it here.
Yeah.
So
always been a winner. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, he's always been a winner. So fast forward to North Carolina State. Now I'm not going to have a Wisconsin play in here because I want to get focused on where we're moving with this. And the whole point of this, Norb, is to show some of his winning stuff, and then I'm going to get into really the West Coast. This, to me, was one of my favorite plays that I saw him make, and he ran some West Coast offense at North Carolina State. Talks about it on his special with Gruden, but this just shows the unique traits that he had and that he's always had as a playmaker. He's going to be scrambling out to the right. Guy's going to come in his face. Just watch what he does, and there'll be a closer angle view of it. Guy's coming up. What do I do with it? Ends up making nuts. It's hard to see. Like most people would watch that, go, man, what did he really do? Well, here you go. Watch closely. Guy comes in his face, little underhand scoop.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that right there is why I think doing this show is worthwhile. Because again, it's not me saying, hey, here's me trying to be an expert. It's more like there's so much to see in this game. And everybody says that relative to the sports that they love the most, baseball, basketball, everything else. But football is such a chess match. And then when you have someone who feels like it looks like they're playing with, the queen, 11, different pieces out there versus a bunch of pawns, it's crazy. So when he's making a play like that I thought he just made a little dink pass. And I'm like, well, why was this one of his highlight plays? And then when they showed the last part there, I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice it. And I have the trained eye to see that. So it's just seeing that special type of play that a guy makes.
It's kind of like only him and Mahomes are the only quarterbacks you would think can make that type of throw or are clever enough to make that kind of throw.
Yeah, and that he was doing that years ago when, the college game, college coaches, they weren't that open to the open concept that is now. Like now you're teaching high school kids to throw off their back foot, to scramble and throw sideways. We never used to do that. It was always get back, square up, arms perfect. And now you're teaching the unorthodox throw just as much as you're teaching the orthodox throw. Now, that is the antithesis of what he's going into, which he has to, I don't want to say he has to unlearn it, but he has to learn when to utilize it, because Russ is still going to be scrambling Russ. Just like Steve Young, Michael Vick, all those guys they maintain their scrambling components. What Russ has, though, is the ability to do the discipline stuff because he's so disciplined in his regimen. If he carries it into this, it's going to be great. So now I'm going to show in sequence what to me is the greatest drive of all time. It's not the drive. Norb, do you know what the drive is? Because you know which series of plays I'm showing for before we get to Russ here.
I don't think I know every single one of them. I have a pretty good idea.
No. So there is a drive. When I say it, you'll remember it. The one that's actually titled The Drive is the famous John Elway driving it down the field, 92 yards.
Yeah.
Against Cleveland. But to me, the greatest drive of all time is in Super Bowl 23 when Joe Montana in what is known as the famous John Candy drive. And for those of you who don't know John Candy, he's a very famous comedian, passed away a few years ago, that made some planes, trains, and automobiles. Just look at planes, trains, and automobiles. Joe Montana comes out into the huddle with just over 2 minutes to go, and they are trailing by 3, by 4. And he goes into the huddle, and he looks like he looks to the end zone of the stands, and he tells the guys in the huddle, "Hey, is that John Candy standing over there?" And there's linemen that tell you can find it on ESPN all over the place. Linemen are talking about how the moment Joe Montana said that, they had that, like, we're going to win because our guy is so comfortable in this moment that he's recognizing that John Candy's over there. So what ensues is basically him going 7 for 7 in the West Coast offense that is plays that are extremely similar to what the Rams have won and what Waldron has run. The only difference is you're going to see him out of 2 backs. I'm not telestrating them. We're going to zip through them because then I want to get to the handful of plays that we've got with Russ. So
sounds good.
Here we go. We're going to just kind of zip through it. It'll take me a second after each play. It's side view. It's not the end zone views and all those different things, but it is a cut up based off of some different stuff I saw. Here's the first play of the drive. Okay, they're at their own 8-yard line. They also have 92 yards to go. And I'm sorry, the Broncos one was 98 yards. So 92 yards. Here's what I want everybody to watch. The important piece here is footwork. I've been saying it forever. Bill Walsh hammered it. It's at the opening line in his playbook were basically 2 things: that the pass sets up the run, and the quarterback must master footwork. Joe Montana mastered the footwork. So on all these plays as we watch them, so I don't have to keep repeating it, I want you to watch his footwork and his timing. There is no hippity hop, set up, read. Everything is get back, throw, And he does 3-step, 5-step, 7-step, and he hits the Texas route, which when I said it 2 months ago, I had some people jump on, there's no such thing as a Texas route. Yeah, there is. Walsh invented it, and it's still popular today. The Texas route is the running back out of the backfield, running 45 degrees to one direction and hard cut back over the middle. He throws it to Roger Craig 3 times. So that's kind of the semblance of it. Here we go. Play number 1. First down, just got to get out of there. 5-step drop, step up, throw. Steps up nice and tall, hits in there. Boom, there we go.
That's Texas, right?
Yep, all he did, and he didn't even look it off, right? It's not a matter of checking and reading, looking it off and all those things. He just dropped back, went right. He knew that he was hitting the hot Texas route. So here's play number 2. Okay, and again, I tried to trim these extremely tight because you don't need to see him coming out of center other than he is always coming out of center. I know it wasn't shotgun back then, but you're going to see some plays where Russ is doing it. Again, this is the second play of the drive, the drop back, quickness getting it out. He knows pre-snap read. We talked about this in the last show, who he's going to throw to. So here we go. Drops back, set, throw. I mean, he is just boom, back foot, set, throw it, rhythm. All the linemen have to do is block for maybe a second. That's about it. I'll play this one again. Okay. It's out of there. And what I want to show on this is, and they'll be learning this in the Seahawks offense, passing lanes. And how many times have we heard Russ say, it doesn't matter that I'm 5'10"? It's all about throwing through passing lanes. Well, in your blocking schemes, based on the long play calls that are the West Coast offensive play calls, the lanes get created based on offensive line blocking. Well, watch this right here. He knows tight end there. He could have shifted the call or what have you. But here you see, I mean, look at that passing lane. Boom, there it is right there for that pass. So now we're on play number 3. It's the tail end of it because it's a little bit longer. It was a 7-step drop. So he does the hippity hop. And by hippity hop, I mean, he's just getting back there. I mean, it's like the perfect picture of what you want a quarterback to do. Front shoulder tipped down forward so he can see through everything in the lens of his visor, of his face mask. And then he starts to come forward with the hippity hop step and the 90-degree footwork. Want to guess who he's throwing to here? Yeah, a guy by the name of Jerry Rice. But again, 7-step drop. There is nobody close to him. And Cincinnati was trying everything. Blitzing guys, not blitzing guys, doing whatever they can. So to watch again, he gets back. I mean, it's just the ref can stand back there and just enjoy a Joe Montana throw, right? Wide open. Now, you know what's time they've eaten up about at this point? Maybe 30 seconds of the 2 minutes. And now they're out there at midfield. They haven't taken a big, deep chunk. They haven't had 5 guys going deep. They're just going easy stuff, take the simple stuff, crossing routes, but it's all quarterback timing. Play number, where are we at? Play number 4 of the 7-play drive. Okay, here we go. The second Texas route. But this time he's on the 5-step. He's throwing off his back foot hopping, but he knew pre-snap that he's going there because they're dropping back. 12-yard gain. And I kept that in because it's one of my favorite scenes of all time that I used to show. Now I don't show that when I would speak at clinic on quarterback play and everything else. But this to me is Russell Wilson at his finest. Would be Russell Wilson. And I meant what I just said. It's throwing off your back foot, but instead of making that big play that you think will make you a hero because you try to do something big, but maybe we lose it, you're taking the sure things to put yourself in a position to give yourself a 90% chance to be a hero. And you're showing your great leadership because you understand time management. How many times we talk about time management? He's sitting on the ground. He knows the situation. He knows if we complete it. He's probably told the guys, we complete it. I'm just going to call timeout. You can relax. I'm Joe Kid, Joe Cool. So there it is, timeout. So there's still 3 plays left in this final drive. This is what I love about it. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Step up, throw. Now it's the one time, and it's only because he took a 7-step drop. If he took a 5-step, no big deal. But he took a 7-step, hippity hop forward. But he's reading as he drops back. His hippity hop allows him to get to the 3rd, even 4th read because guys are reading as they drop. Hippity hop allows for another read, and then they're going to set, fire, throw in this offense. Plenty of time. And again, how long is he really asking for the line to block for him? He's checked to the play. You can tell right here. He's definitely, or he's going to dummy audible based on the defense that's coming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hippity hop, boom. He throws it right on target. 2, it helps when you have Jerry Rice. But even at that, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that it's not superhero plays. Okay, that's 5 for 5 on that drive. Okay, here we go. Play number 6. Now, they are inside the 20-yard line. I mean, they're getting close. They could still go hero now, but there's a minute to go in the game. They eat up some more clock. So what are we going to call here? Well, linemen are checking. Look at the linemen checking into the inside. The communication is flawless. They're making sure they hear the call. Okay, I mean they're looking at Montana. This is the only, again, I'm not telestrating, but this is to win the Super Bowl. This is how much these guys want to make sure that we are on the same page. So when people are doing stuff that's kind of like, oh, they should be paying attention or whatever, man, I love when I see something like this, or coaches today that are teaching this, like, hey, if you're unsure, either stand up and tell the quarterback what's the play, or look inside and look at the quarterback and listen to him. And okay, you might be a fraction of a second late to your block, but you're going to be 90% more efficient in that block if you made the right block versus, oh, I thought I heard the right thing and I went to the inside when I should have gone outside and the blitzing linebacker took care of us. They're both looking at him right at the snap, 2 plays before about to win the Super Bowl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, step right up. And that's he was just late throwing the Texas route. Probably the worst throw that he made on the whole thing, only because he just delayed a little bit. But again, he's got guys coming at his feet, hits the hot Texas route. And now they're in a great position to do a play that people have seen many, many times. And that's the Super Bowl winning touchdown pass. Now I show it from this angle because I think this is just a golden vision of what we would want to see, is this right here, like the full circle of where we last saw us in a Super Bowl, and Carroll throwing the headset down because of the interception, Russ coming up, clapping his hand because he's just frustrated, all that stuff. Here you have same type of thing in terms of just from head coach to quarterback's eyes to here we go with the play. And it was a total dummy play in terms of everybody thought Jerry Rice. He takes his 5-step, he sets and throws, easy touchdown to a guy who's, I mean, it's that simple, right? And at the end here, you'll see how I end this. This is good. This is what I want to see DK Metcalf doing after Tyler Lockett's helped him get there. Not that part, but this part. That's the second best receiver on their team who's got the 40-inch vertical leap in John Taylor, right? Like, it could be luck, could be whatever. So my point on all that, Norb, is you watch a legend, but he didn't do anything legendary on that drive. And you could take any of his games. Just like, and I'm not going to throw the Jerry Rice stuff. I chose to save that for another week. All of the plays that went to Jerry Rice, all those touchdown passes, every deep one, I would argue that I watched some that was the 50 of his touchdown passes. 42 of them were 32 to 35 yard receptions. And then he went and took it further. Why? Because the quarterback, Montana or Young for most of those, took a 1-step or 3-step or a quick 5-step and throw, got it out of their hands. There wasn't sit and wait. They knew pre-snap read, I'm going to him. I'm going to trust my receiver's going to get open. And they would just throw 32 to 35. It just landed perfectly. Didn't allow safeties to get over there. Didn't allow brackets to get over there. The other component is you get a quarterback who can get back there and make that quick timing pass and understand that if something's not there, I know where my hot routes are. Hot routes are golden in the West Coast offense. When you understand the Texas and you understand the swings and how all those complement each other. Man, that's why I get excited about this.
I see a lot of comments in the chat right now, like Chapadoodle 1012, Darren Bales, Seahawks fan, talking about we're going to be a running team, 55% run, 45% pass, same old Seahawks football. Pete's not changing now, 75% defense, or 25% offense. What would you say? I know we're going to get into this more in the next series here, but how would you summarize? I think a lot of people just think is it just more passing versus more running? But West Coast offense really isn't about do you run or pass more, right? It's more about the timing, wouldn't you say? How would you answer that question if people are going to ask, does this just mean we're going to be running the ball more next year? Because I think that was the quick overarching thought when Pete Carroll said at the end of the season last year, we need to get back to running the ball more. I think people right away thought, oh, no, it's just going to be run, defense, and no throwing the ball. How would you respond to that?
So it's easy for me because I look at the math. I'm not a math guy, but I definitely am a stats guy. So the Seahawks have averaged just about 70 plays. Let's call it 70. They were, I think, 72.3 per game last year, whatever, but let's call it 70. So if we are to go a 50-50 split, like just think about what I'm about to say here, because it seems to kind of squash arguments for people. Like I'm not trying to argue with them, but I'm saying, hey, take this to people who say this thing. If we are 70 plays a game and we're at a 50-50 clip, that means Russell Wilson is throwing the ball 35 times a game. 35 times a game. Now, who's throwing 35 times a game? Like not a lot of people are. I mean, the Saints do, some teams do that, but do we really want to be in a position with a defense that, finished strong, but we don't know yet where it's at? Again, like I look at this Super Bowl and you look at the other Super Bowls that they won and again, modern teams as well that have done really, exceptionally well. And I promised myself I wouldn't say TB12's name this show, because I know I say it a lot lately, or AR's name and stuff. But you look at the big games that those guys win. They're close games in the fourth quarter where you have to prove that you can handle those. Now, do we want blowouts? Yeah. But we're not going to throw it 35 times a game. I don't want to see Russell throw it 35 times a game, because the average, it means you're probably going to get intercepted 2 times a game, 3 times a game, potentially. Or you're going to have one of those spells where you go 3 games with no interceptions, but then you got that bad game with 3 to 4 interceptions because you're just throwing so much. So when people say that, it's like, yeah, we are going to be run first. We are going to run more than we're going to pass. Okay, so what if it's 40 runs to 30 passes? If you're not happy with 30 passes, then I don't know where what you're expecting Russ to do, because I don't want to see him throw 40 times, because we've seen what happens when Russ throws 40 times. We don't do very well in a lot of those games, and the percentage of interceptions and big time interceptions go up versus, in the previous offense, I always said, let's have him throw 20 to 22 times, 18 to 22 times, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, and maybe a pick or no picks. That was the perfect in the previous one. Now I would say, let's have him throw 25 to 30 times, which means we're running the ball 40 to 45 times. It puts us in that 28 to 31 point category if everything's going well. That's where I see that. So just think about it from that standpoint. Put that 70 play perspective into play, and just think, how many times do we really want Russell throwing the ball? And are we better off? Let's run the ball, because it also helps your offensive linemen. Linemen don't want to be in retreat mode over half the game, man. They want to dominate and get after it. They don't want to. I know we don't have a Walter Jones or a Hutch of those guys, but we made it to the Super Bowl because we could dominate on the line of scrimmage. If those guys were doing pass pro, it wouldn't do us any good. So, and that will set up what I'm going to be showing you coming up next, right? It sets up the bootleg. It sets up those other quick hitters. And I like 30 times a game because it should be quick hitting, throw it to DK and let him do the work. Be happy with 7 yards, hit the tight end, backs out of the backfield, be good at screenplays. That's why, I think we're going to be great with it. Because
all right, well, let's jump in. Yeah, let's jump into it.
All right, so, this is where we're going to have a little bit of fun. So here's what I did, Norb, for everybody who's out there. Norb and I had a little discussion yesterday. I got to bring it back just real fast. So we had a discussion because I told him a while back that I was going to pick the handful of plays that I thought were the greatest plays in Russell Wilson's NFL career. And then I had to talk to Norb about it because I realized my definition might be different than his definition, might be different from everybody else's. So we kind of came to this agreement. And Norb, I want to make sure that if I don't clear it very well, go ahead and articulate a little bit more. So we made about the 5 plays that had to in some way either elevate Russ on his evolutionary chain as a quarterback, or enhance us as a team in the evolution of us growing towards us becoming a Super Bowl champion. And even the following year, obviously there'll be a big play in there. Something that was so gripping that it became a national something. It became a Russ elevation something, because there's lots of plays that we could say are better passes. Like you go to those metrics where it's a 0.01 window of what have you in a game where we're up 28-7 and really didn't. a win's a win. We need the win. We need the touchdown. But it wasn't like gravitating, change the moment, earth shattering type of play. So that's how I base these handful of plays.
Yep.
Is that clear? That sound pretty clear, Norb?
Yes. So we're about to look at the top 5, your selection for the top 5 most important or pivotal throws of Russell Wilson's career with the Seahawks.
Yeah. Yep. The plays that I felt like, and again, it certainly could be an argument, but I feel like these are the plays that definitely have defined him so far. And there's a thread that I will speak to through this. So this is still a little bit more philosophical. There'll be some illustrations. So here's what we have. First play is that I'm showing is somewhat a sequence. This is against New England. Back
2012.
in 2012. It was fourth down play. And so here's what we have now. This is the most basic of the play. So this is why it's more, the second one is really the big one in this game, but it gave us a chance. So this was the play that put us within a touchdown. Just a simple, very simple 3-step drop, which we've seen him do a lot of times, but he had an aiming point here. Okay, here's the difference, is that there was an aiming point. That aiming point being the midpoint of the end zone, which a lot of times we hear back shoulder throw. This is not a back shoulder throw. People will say that, like, what a great back shoulder throw.
I was going to call it a back shoulder.
Yeah, because we all see that, because it's like anything. Like I could go into, I won't even say it, but there's like stuff in a food place or something else that I would say something based on some food show I watched a bunch of times just to say I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. So
why isn't it? Because it looks like he throws it towards his back shoulder. But so why is it not?
Because a back shoulder throw is going to be a more of a line, because we're inside the 10-yard line. Now you're going to have stick points. The back shoulder throw takes place at the front pylon, where a guy's sprinting so hard, he still looks like he has space to get back to that back pylon. And then he does a hard cut and this little bit more of a drill throw. And now he's going to turn, he's going to get on the back shoulder, or a play that's going across the middle. So quarterback's taking his 5-step, guy's going across. He's got a linebacker running right with him, but he's not looking at the quarterback. So you're going to throw behind him. The timing's impeccable. But you also have these sideline drill throws where you're either throwing at the front corner, or we call it the bottom corner pylon. So the bottom left corner. You have the box pylon, which is a drill called King of the Hill that I used to run all the time, where you're just having your quarterback lob it up and keeping it in here. And then you have the midpoint, which is throw it 5 yards into the end zone at the sideline, so that your receiver is going to keep running, and he's going to actually turn and look up in the air as if the ball is coming from a very high vantage point, and make it look like he's just going to keep running. But really the ball's coming peripherally. He sees it's coming at a lower vantage point. He'll turn, drop, fall down, make the catch. So yeah, you can say it's a back shoulder throw, but technically this is not your prototypical NFL college or high school back shoulder throw, because to back up, it's more the timing of step back, throw it early in his career. If it's his first season, we're down 23-10. He's going up against the GOAT, but he's got to make the play here. I'm not a big fan of fades inside the 10 at the NFL level, love it at the high school level. But here it's 1, 2, 3 set throw, his foot point, it's easy toss. And you could see how, because of back shoulder, you don't sit there forever and wait for it. But because he looks back, looks up, and then he sits and he drops at it. You practice that all the time. We've practiced that many times, the footwork of a receiver, making sure they stay in and falling down forward versus the back shoulder, which is just usually standing up, hard line drive throw. So here again, the timing though, think West Coast out, 1, 2, 3 step throw. The lob, too much of a lob. No one's you can't put that much lob on a timing back shoulder throw. You just can't, because if your thought process is back shoulder, that's going to get intercepted, because your receiver would do something totally different. Your receiver must come down the field, see it, 1, 2, 3 set throw. That's what I like about it. There's no pressure. They can't get to him. Now he's made the play. So this is a setup to the biggest play for me. So this is not, to me, the biggest play. It's the fact that it gets us to this spot. So it's 1A of 1B, which is this coming up right here. Okay. So, and let me see if I've got the PCS. So what we have happening here is, as he comes in motion, and I'm just going to let the play run so that you'll see the play. And I'm not going to say anything, which wasn't the smartest thing to do. Like, why do you say I'm not going to say anything while you're saying something, right? So here we go. As we see the play take place, think about the stuff we've watched lately, even though it's been one back with the Rams. This is more kind of 49ers, but it's West Coast offense stuff, because Bevel ran a ton of West Coast offensive type of plays. He mixed it, though, with other stuff. So he kind of tried to be a hybrid of multiple offenses, which at times worked. It's a simple bootleg, right? So you're going motion across, the U motion. So basically the play call here, you're in an I left, U left. So the U is the second tight end. The Y is the other tight end. The U You left means line up to the left, but then they give him a motion to the right. And then we said that we will give the running back the number 2 and the holes to the left are odd. So 25 and then a bootleg to the right. But the footwork for Russell is get back, play action, half rollout, set, and throw. So that's what makes this play what it is this concept right here. The fact that he's going to go back to here, make that play action where and again, the double lines, whenever you see me do double lines, that means there's some sort of a mesh point, but there's not actually a handoff that's going to take place there. And then all he's going to do is he's just going to arc around, to the other side over here, boom, boom, boom. And then he just sets and throws. And it's all timing. It's meant to be a half rollout. It's exactly what he's been asked to do. And this I've said is my favorite play in all of football. When, it doesn't matter, he's not throwing to the tight end. I love throwing to the tight end, and I like bootlegging back to the tight end side. But this time it's a home run ball, and usually your X receiver is going to be the fastest guy. So great job. The blocking scheme. Here's what I love about it too, Norb, is we constantly are hearing about how McVay has created this new special blocking scheme where the guy comes across the field to make the block. So you just saw the tight end go to the right. There's the play action. But watch the fullback here, which in the plays I was showing last week with the Rams, it was simply them sending their wide receiver, their slot receiver in motion, and then that second tight end was coming across and getting a block over here. Well, let's imagine this is that jet sweep wide receiver who's just come out this way, even though he's going to get set. But watch the fullback on the play action. They both go to the right. The running backs, go to the left. And now the running back comes back to this side to pick up anything there. That tells you that it's that right there is when you're watching a game, you can see that and oh man, this is a half rollout. Like I can watch that and right away, the moment I saw the fullback come back underneath, I know that Russell's not going to do a design full sprint out, something extra scramble. He's supposed to set up because look at the way the linemen are also blocking here. Like they're getting a great little wall. They're getting this is one of the best V sets we've had in a long time, right? We talk about the V blocking. This isn't even supposed to be V blocking. So that's what I loved about this. And then the fact that the timing of the play is such that he just makes a golden throw. But it's all on precision timing. 1, 2, 3, mesh point. We talk cowboy magician, where you're a magician when you're faking the handoff, cowboy the other direction, which is why I want to show it one last time from the top view. Okay, the top view being when you see this, as soon as it comes back up, if we get it there we go. Watch how the play action just suckers everybody in. This is why you run the ball a lot. And back in 2012, we were run heavy big time because we had a rookie quarterback.
Mike Robb
right?
and Marshawn Lynch in the backfield.
Yeah, we're not going to put a bunch of pressure on him. We're not going to put pressure on Russ. And now all of a sudden, this to me was one of the coming out party, the first of 2 he had that year. Okay, but the play action based on the running game that maybe is not working so well, but now we're within 6 because it's 23-17. And now it's like, let's go for the bootleg. And we're going home run because Bevel in many quotes says, I like to run West Coast type of stuff, but I'm a home run hitting guy. Like those were kind of the type of quotes he said, because they're leaving both tight end types in. It's a 2-man route. You got a receiver up top going on his house route where he's basically running hard. And then he's going to the outside with the idea being pull the safety, or if the safety bites, that clears that. So the whole idea is let's get this guy gone. And this is Sidney Rice. This is one of the best routes he ever ran, because what you'll see is, and I'm actually going to give a line, so we'll watch it on the last time here. You're going to see him. He comes inside, then he stems up. So he stems to the inside, comes up the field, then he angles to the outside to create his leverage to go back to the inside. He does all of this. Why? Because this is a timing play, and you can go all the way back to the artifacts of the Bill Walsh installed offense. Your receivers will hit a certain mark when the quarterback hits the apex of a certain mark. Apex being the top of their bootleg, the top of their drop back, whatever that is. The moment they hit that spot, receivers should be at a certain spot and break it. That's why all of the drop backs were so based on timing. There were multiple 3 steps, multiple 5 steps, everything else. So here we go as you watch it here. So now it's hard. Like, what are you going to watch? You're going to watch Rice. You're going to watch Russell. Like you see Rice doing his thing. He goes in, he goes out. Now he goes in. I mean, everybody's beat. Look at the middle of the field there. Like, how often do you see that with middle safeties? I'll let you so you can just see that little part right there, right? That safety went to the outside for a second. The safety bit on the corner route, and now he's wide open in the middle of the field. That to me was his first coming out party play of the 5 that I chose.
Yep. And I agree with you. And I was looking back at pivotal games and plays that put him on the map. That was definitely one of them, because it was also that was the You Mad Bro game, which elevated Sherman to national levels of trash talking with Tom Brady. But yeah, of course, anytime you beat Belichick and the Patriots, it's always a huge win.
Yeah, and you know what I've really tried to embrace as the trying to be the hippest grandpa around. Like, I realized with social media, and social media has been around since mid 2000s. I didn't start figuring it out till around 2012, and then around 2020, when you connected with me, is when I really jumped into it, right? But it's taken someone who did understand it, like a Richard Sherman, who's kind of branding himself, and nobody knew Richard Sherman, so he became this brash, crazy. I mean, the commentary after the Mad Bro thing was nuts. And then all of a sudden he backed it up with his play. And then he still did some stuff with the 49ers and everything else. But it was like, man, you give someone a chance and you come to realize they're being pretty masterful. Antithesis being Marshawn Lynch. Like, how crafty was he and not saying stuff, but it totally branded him when he went vocal. So I've really tried to accept and embrace, like, when people are doing stuff like that, especially in sports, as long as it's not like political ties or something that's just way outlandish. But hey, these guys are sports guys. It's part of the entertainment, right? Like, just take it as entertainment. Don't take it as a personal, that guy's a jerk or whatever. Like, we don't know him for real.
Yeah.
Even though I know you think you know Russell, and all the 12s think they know Russell because they watch his videos. All right, here we go. We ready? Keep it on moving.
Yep.
All right. So now Chicago, the Windy City, right? Now, I know this makes people nervous. Like, oh, maybe he would go play. He's not going to go play for Chicago. Like, this is awesome. This was the second coming out part. This to me was definitely, he's our guy. The New England one was, okay, great home field, but doing it on the road. Okay, this is a play A, play B. This one's a little bit quicker because this is at the end of a long drive, low scoring game. We need this touchdown to go up. If we get the touchdown, we're going to go up 17-14. We're going to win the game. So the play, simply, you just got trips to the left, going to let it run through. Again, this is 2012, his first year. Just a laser he throws. And yes, this was filmed and recorded in a 4x3 format back in the day, so it's not a coach's quarter snafu or anything like that. Playing both angles here. Again, just watch how quick he gets rid of it. And it's just 1, 2, 3 set throw. And this is a 3-step drop. So when I talk about that, there's variations of the 3-step, right? There's the teach the high school kid 1, 2, 3 throw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 throw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hippity hop throw. And then you take an advanced guide and you're going to work with the footwork and everything else. Well, now you evolve to 3-step drops that are in the under center, out of shotgun, all this other stuff. But there's the condensed 3-step, there's the normal 3-step, there's the elongated 3-step, there's the back foot 3-step. I mean, there's so many different ones. Well, what do you see here, especially from this angle? Watch how fast his 3-step is on this one, because he realizes the situation and he sees this right here, and he's got an offensive coordinator running an offense where it's pre-snap read. Pre-snap read. Know who you're throwing to right now based on the defense you see. Trust your instincts. It's Brian Urlacher. He might be coming, and he can get to you in 1.5, so you better get rid of it in 1.3. And Russell's willing to take shots if guys came. So what does he do? Watch how quick he gets rid of it. He doesn't take a normal 3-step. This play is designed for him to do a quick 3-step, but he does a very quick 3-step, which I would do too. Here it is. 1, 2, 3, throw, right? And he even gets the setting of the back foot, which is, he's been doing this since high school. If we're going to talk real true footwork, just this part right here, 1, 2, 3. And this is the beauty of it. If you're wanting to be a coach of a kid, I now teach this to kids that are 10 years old. And I'm not special. It's what we're all doing. I have this one kid that he's a great little kid. He's coachable and everything else. He picked this up on the first day. And I was like, what I would have given to have been able to coach this if I knew that kids could understand this concept years ago. I would have done it. Because what is he doing? On the 3-step, he's not setting and then resetting. He's getting back there on that 3rd step. So there's number 3 right here. But his back foot is pointing towards the line of scrimmage, which means left foot points left. Now his 90 degrees is going this direction, which means if the field was this way, he'd be throwing straight ahead, right? This would be a normal 3-step drop, but the field's this way. 3-step drop, but he pointed that back toe, foot forward. Now look at the passing lane. There's receivers all over the place. But where's he throwing pre-snap read? And based on the play that they called, it's designed to go to this position, designed to go to Tate, because look at the passing lane created. And that's where he's going to throw it. 1, 2, 3, throw. And then Tate does a phenomenal job. I played this hoping that he's still going to come. I'm not sure if Alina Doll's saying that he's going to make it here, but that's kind of a little plug for that. So, which leads me to the second part of that play. Here we go. This is having a little fun now.
Ooh.
So this is the ultimate play for me. I got to come back here for a second, freeze it. This is my favorite play in all of football. Okay, it's the bootleg back to the tight end side. It's overtime, so we had just drove down and we let our rookie quarterback throw a hard 90-mile-an-hour slant route, touchdown. Chicago Bears make a tremendous play. Brandon Marshall makes a tremendous play, field goal. Then we get the ball back, and now we get to go on another drive. And you want to know what the commentator says on this? As soon as on the very first play of the drive, man, that Bears defense is just exhausted. After that long drive. Right after that first drive that got us to the end zone. Now, Norb, I've told you what I thought about the most overrated stat in football, which is time of possession. Well, that works both ways, right? So the defensive time of possession for the Chicago Bears, which is the offensive time possession for the Seahawks, right? That can work both ways, good and bad. So now they're exhausted, and now we're going right back on the field. But the Seahawks don't look that tired right now, right? So we've run a lot of plays in the last drive, and we got our little break, and now we're coming back and running a bunch of drives down the field. This is like an 8-play drive, but we're stoked, we're amped, and now we're going to put it in the hands of our quarterback again to throw it. It's second 8. And now we're going to run this bootleg. You can see where everybody's going, so I don't need to talk about that. The people in blue are the aiming points. But watch how the running game that was very heavy in this game in Chicago, how it sets up one of two people. It's always going to set up either the block, go to the flat. And by block, I'm talking you block for at least 2 seconds, ideally 3 on this one. He blocks for about 2. He's anxious getting out of there. Because he's anxious getting out of there, the defensive player doesn't bite on the run, and he stays with him. But what that means is, because a linebacker stays with them, and these linebackers have to respect the run, the drag, it always comes open on the backside. It always comes open. It's a matter of, does the quarterback read it and square his shoulders, come forward? So let's watch the play in totality. As it gets ready to run, there's the play action. Linebackers flow. You can see Rice wide open. It just took a second for us to see it, and I'm only showing it to there because there's a very vicious hit that took place at the end, and I didn't feel like we needed to see the hit on that one.
Yeah, it was vicious.
Helmet to helmet, helmet to helmet. But I want to go back again to just the spot where you're able to see when he comes open. Just watch Sidney Rice, right? Sidney Rice looks like he's coming out of the starting blocks. Like I don't think I'd ever seen this before. Watching a receiver come off the line of scrimmage. Guys are usually chopping their feet. Watch Sidney Rice here. It's golden. Like he's high. He's running like high knee steps coming out of here. Now he's trying to give a little look, but this guy's not really jamming him. He's giving kind of a funky look there. So he's kind of doing this little U-tip, 2-step, high step to get going. But as guys run out, look at the linebackers. Linebackers have to respect the run. Now Russ is getting to the apex of his throw, which means the top of his throw. It's at the exact point that Russ makes his turn at the apex of his throw that Sidney Rice makes his turn to get to the aiming point, which is in every offense, Norb, in the history of bootlegs of West Coast. The backside, you have 2 rules. The front side receiver goes block to the flat, or if he's a receiver, he goes 45-degree angle for 5 yards and goes to the flat. So he does one of those based on where he's lined up. And the backside receiver, who's away from where his quarterback is going, runs the drag route. And the aiming point is 15 yards to the sideline. So wherever you start on the backside, you find out where 15 yards is across the field, and that's your aiming point to get there. Doesn't matter how. People will teach it differently. Some offenses say just go straight there. Others say, hey, our timing's gonna be so good that we want our quarterback to hit apex. You run up about 8 yards, then turn it here, and then go up there. So he has the turn up and go there move. So we're gonna watch it regular speed, but you'll kind of see how Russ gets to his apex as Rice gets to his. Boom, they're bad. Now they're both going together. He's wide open, and he gets to play. And what Russell loves and what he does best is what every quarterback you ask who's played the game in this type of offense loves to do, and I'm gonna come back to you here, and that is run the direction that's opposite of your arm. Most people who are young to this, they'll say a right-hand quarterback wants to run to his right, and he's better throwing to his right. Left hand, same thing. Absolutely false. If you want to run the most optimal play for a quarterback, send a right-handed quarterback to his left and send a left-handed quarterback to his right. Reason being is that I'm a lefty, so I got to show left-handed. As I drop back to throw, I step back and I throw it. Boom! I step, I throw it, I finish. And we always say, take a pic, frame the picture here, throw it. Then you're going to take a picture here, and there's all sorts of other things you're teaching. But now if I sprint out, I'm going to sprint out this way. And if I'm a lefty, to make the throw to anybody, I have to turn my shoulders all the way back and try to take a picture. And that allows for a great forceful throw, which means my ball is going to stay point down on a hard line drive throw, which he does. As a lefty now, going to my left, I run to the left. I don't ever square up to throw. I'm not in my normal position. So every throw I make, that's why balls flail out, take off, what have you. So you're always better off. Like I love when I see Russ scrambling to his left because I know something better is probably going to happen. He makes great throws to his right. But so many quarterbacks have ruined their careers throwing backdoor interceptions going to the side of their arm versus I never cared of a guy throwing right-handed quarterback going to his left. I told him, you can throw back towards the middle of the field because I know you'll square all the way up to make that throw. But you can never throw it back to the middle of the field going to the side of your arm. So that's something that's very important to watch that I think is great here because you've just seen now a couple plays so far of the plays we're showing that are exactly the offense we're going to run. That's a single back, bootleg, play action based off of run, heavy running game. And you know what no one remembers from this game, Norb?
What's that?
How many times I'm going to ask you in the super chat while I'm pulling up the next thing. How many passes without Google searching did Russ throw in this game? Exactly. Ooh. I don't know either. All I know is he threw a touchdown at the end. He threw a touchdown to win the game.
He ran a lot. Right? I remember that. He rushed a lot.
Yes. He did what we're talking about, right? He's running there, running, read option, all those things. Like we need to get out of this whole running and everything else. We have a new offense. We went 12-4 the way last year. Defense comes along. We're going to win games, but let's do this and win games. Now, I don't want every game to be like, I don't want to be watching you and your dad be like last 4 quarters every game, tight, everything else. But if we're efficient, then I think we're going to win games in that 24-14, 28-14, because our defense is solid, special teams is solid, and offense, it will take a little while to evolve. But we got the guy who people are going to gravitate to because Russell works so dang hard that everybody else is going to make sure that they're caught up to his speed, timing, all that type of stuff. Like if I'm Russ, like I'm freaking loving this offense because he's a discipline-oriented guy who can then make things happen. And Waldron's not going to tell him not to be Russ. Like he's not going to take away his personality of his play. He's just going to say, can you stay in the confines of things until they break down? If they break down, get out of there and be Russell Wilson. Microwave things. Don't cook, just microwave.
Right.
But when you're not doing that, man, just keep sauteing the stuff.
Nick LeBeau has a funny comment in here. He says, in regards to you not showing the hit, he said, Coach, this is Coach's Corner, not Mickey Mouse. Show us the hit. LOL. So says
the guy whose parents make him go to bed at like 8:30 so he can be up in time for 5.0. No, I'm kidding. Nick LeBeau, I'm kidding. I don't know what time you go to bed or anything like that.
Hey, he's not getting a 4.3 GPA for nothing. So
Yeah, exactly. You know what? If it was I don't care about showing a hit. Like I love big hits. Trust. I just put in a bunch of the transitions. I was going to talk OBS stuff. Bunch of stuff that are all decleating hits. Like I put the best hits of my former players because I don't want to use stock footage. I don't mind that. This one was a vicious helmet to helmet that I literally thought he broke his neck on. And so I'm not going to show anything that would enforce something if there happened to be some young kid that saw it and like, oh, that must be how you hit to end a game or save your team from, whatever. That's the only reason I didn't show it. If it was a regular hit, no big deal. All right. But Nick LeBeau, I appreciate the fact that of all the comments you could have made, like, hey, that's great. Like, love your illustrations. Love that you talk Mickey Mouse to me. Like, I'll remember that on that other roundtable show that you do, Nick LeBeau. I'll make sure the host of that show remembers that. In fact, let me note that. Nick LeBeau. I'm kidding. Yeah. All right. So I got two plays left, essentially.
All right. So those first 2 games were from 2012, Russell Wilson's rookie year, the Patriots game, and then that very important and memorable Chicago Bears game where it did feel like it was his coming out party and felt like this he cemented his position that you are the quarterback of this team moving forward. So
and I feel like I have to really put the emphasis on this, especially if we ever cut this up and put it into a smaller piece. That is the easiest pass Russ has ever made, right? Like, so some people would, if they just jumped on the show right now and this guy's talking about the 5 greatest passes ever, I'm talking about what it meant, how fluid it was. Like, think of the passes that I've shown you guys, like especially the 2 in this game. A quick 3-step slant that he could do in his sleep, and a bootleg that he's done a million times, that the throw is really about maybe 12 total yards. The slant route was maybe a 15 total yard throw. But it's the idea of keeping it simple, staying within the framework, running the offense that is a kind of a hybrid West Coast offense in an electrifying moment that we need something to happen, and this is your rookie year. So what can a guy do at this stage of his career if he's not trying to be special? And I want to be careful how I say that, right? Because we want him to be special. We want DK to be special. But DK will be just as excited catching a slant route for a touchdown as he is catching a 90-yard bomb, right? Like, he'll love that. It's awesome. But how about you catch 3 slants for 182 yards because you ran people over and you did some other cool stuff, and we ran a reverse to you and some of those things I showed last week. That's what I'm saying here by 5 most important plays, pass plays, that are relative to what we're talking about with next year's offense as well. So staying in the theme of what we most likely will see next year.
All right. Let's go to the next one.
Let's do it. So here we go. I think you will recognize this
NFC Championship
situation.
game 2013 against the 49ers. I believe it's 4th down and about, looking at the yard count, 4th down and about 8.
Yeah,
I remember they were debating about whether they kicked the field goal or not. And I think at one point Hauschka went onto the field and then they sent him back out. And then I think Russ kind of talked to him into going for it, and that's what they did here. Am I right?
Yeah. So it was exactly. It was 4th and 7.
7.
4th and 8's fine. Just given the just 4th and 7. We're down 13, 17-13. We're down 13-17. And so here again, we're kind of in that. We love that trips formation during this time. Now, were you holding a selfie stick during these games? Had NorbCam arrived?
I was taping. I was taping. I had video of this entire game. I was not holding a selfie stick, but I had the camera, and I definitely documented this game, especially, of course, the end, which was a huge moment for everybody.
Have you done a live game from the game?
Oh yeah. Once YouTube became once they had the live feature, they didn't have that then. But when they came out with it, I can't remember what year, 2017 maybe. Then I started using a cell phone live in the stands. But up to that point, I was always using a video camera and just recording the reactions at the time, and I would go back and edit it and then air it several days later.
Well, I remember seeing all that stuff. I mean, I knew all those. I just didn't recall.
Yeah, no, it was not live back then. No way to go live.
Yeah, and I'd be at the game, so I wouldn't see you. I wouldn't know, but I'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm watching NorbCam while I'm at the game watching the game. All right, so that's the situation. We need to have it. Do you remember what happens? And I think you might have said it before the snap, or as the snap takes place, or why we snap it, when we snap
hard count, and one of their defensive tackles jumps offside, and we get a free play.
So Nick LeBeau, here's your non-Mickey Mouse moment, because I know you love the football 501, because this is not football 101. Like I said it last week. I want people to come in here thinking this is football 501. You learn from me. I want to learn from you guys. Ask your questions. Like, look, I want this to be like something that you come and go, man, this is higher level, fun level stuff. I don't need to teach you the basics of football. We're 12. We're the 12s out here. This is the 501 graduate level class. It's like the Ron Burgundy of football, but Norb's the Ron Burgundy guy. I'm the guy who's trying to be
the Ron
serious.
Burgundy show.
All right. So they go hard count here. So here and I tried to find something, because sometimes they'd show stats of the penalties. Like I knew how many penalties, but didn't say specific penalties. I couldn't find on that, because the hard count to me is arguably the greatest non-actual play in football, right? Pass interference, those things are in play penalties. But when you can use that hard count, it's awesome. So again, if anybody's coaching on my play sheet, which I actually have play sheets in, but I'm going to save that for time standpoint. I have 9 different coaches, pictures of their play sheets that they're holding, so you can actually see, because I'm going to break down what a play sheet is. But on my play sheet, I'd have a front and a back, and click to the hip and broken down everything else. The very top of my play sheet, big bold red letters, it would say hard count on both sides. and it would say, it's a hard count 3 in certain games, or hard count 2, or hard count 4, meaning that was the quarter that I needed to use the hard count. Like I was planning on, when do I want to use that hard count? If it was the 2, it meant I never did in the first quarter, because to me, that was a waste. Second quarter would be against a very aggressive defense. They're blitzing us all the time. They're coming out, they're getting to our quarterback. So we're going to use a hard count to at least get them to know that, hey, we're not going to always go on the same count here. So it makes you pause. Or I'd save it for the fourth quarter against teams that didn't blitz very much, but may have to because we're going to be in a position where we're about to win the game or something. And then I would call it. Well, now you're in a position here where it's 4th and 7. You want to make it, the goal here is hard count. All right. If we get the hard count, quarterbacks are taught, throw it deep, give ourselves a chance. You're not expecting what's going to happen here. They're expecting we get the hard count. We're going to get 4th and 2, and then we're going to send the field goal team out there, at which point we'll still be down 3 with so many minutes to go. Instead, we're going to get this play. So here we go. Playing it back from the beginning. We're up on the scene. So let's just play it. So I want you to notice the guy who's standing up on the line of scrimmage, he's the one who should have been in a 3-point. So he doesn't even rush anymore.
Yep.
Hard count, throw. And now here's the beauty of it. The beauty of the all 12. Norb, how many times have you heard people say a ball that was intended for?
Intended for Doug Baldwin.
Everybody says Doug Baldwin, right? So let's watch before I go back to that first play, because I like to clear the air on certain things. So a ball that was intended for Doug Baldwin, but as we look back here, let's go back here where guys are aligned. He's half cropped, meaning bottom of the numbers to the sidelines. He's top of numbers, and these are all alignments that you tell guys to do. And he's in a split the difference, because it'd be like, well, how does he know to line up exactly 2 yards? Well, usually the third guy is told split the difference between the slot and the end man on the line of scrimmage. So it's here, bottom numbers. He's got top of numbers, or he can be in a split the difference. But no matter what, he's in split the difference mode. And then this guy is again the one guy. As I'll let it play through the both things. This guy's standing up. Now he's quasi D line linebacker, but because he's on the edge of a cliff, as we like to say, he's on the edge of a cliff. That's what gets him on the hard count. Edge of the cliff. Here's the hard count marked, and now he's back, and now he doesn't try. Rush just goes 3 steps. Curse just runs straight down the field. Now, do we remember where he lined up? He was lined up at the top of the numbers, Norb, as I let this play. Top of the numbers. Here comes the throw on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set throw. Where is Curse catching the ball? Oh, right at about the top of the numbers as he went right down into the end zone there. Right at the top of the number. This is just clearing it. He has to adjust inside a bit. There's no way that Baldwin, who is looking to his inside here, has a ball going for him as he has to turn to the outside. It's more a matter of Baldwin, you better stay out of the way and know that you've got another guy who's going to go after that ball. But hey, what do we say, right? This is the fun part of coaching. I used to love it on Mondays when coaches or kids would come in, say this, say that, and then the film would show them, hey, what you thought you saw wasn't really what you thought you saw. Like, this is the fun part, like why people should want to learn the game to get these things. So that just clears there. But again, back to our focus of quarterback timing. That you can have the explosive play. You get the hard count. This to me is where a Waldron can make or break himself. If early on in the season we see things like hard counts, draw plays, screen plays, those type of things, like I will be amped, because that will tell me that he is coming with the full package of everything as a veteran mindset guy. Like, I don't care how long he's been a coordinator or a passing game, whatever they're calling guys now and all this stuff. Like, does the guy have a football mind or not? Well, you'll know if he does on certain situations, they do this. If it's 3rd and 12 and the guy goes hard count, then I'll be like, dude, why'd you do that then? Like, either do it on something 5 yards and less, or on 4th down when you're trying to get as close. Like, rhyme and reason should be smart. But the fact that we did this, and the timing though of such, was Russ going his 5-step set throw. And here's the final piece I want to show you. This first time I've kind of done a back and forth of plays, but this is the first time I've seen Russ do these type of things. I want you to watch Russ's head. Now, I talked about even back to the Joe Montana piece, that on those 5 steps, you can drop back and you can read that. You're reading while you're doing that, especially out of the gun. You're taking 3 steps. That's typical to the original 5-step drop. Out of the shotgun, when you take a 5-step, that's like the original under center 7-step. So you kind of always can add a little bit to that. So out of shotgun, 5-step drop, I want you to watch just Russell's head and where he's watching, where he's looking. He's already drawn the guy off sides, so he knows he's going deep. and we got 3 guys going deep. So it's not like they've called a play where, hey, if we get the hard count, let's run a couple slants and an out route to try to get the first down. It's, hey, everybody run deep no matter what. There it is. He looks it off, and then he comes back. So let's see what that does to 31, the safety here. He's there. He sees him. He stayed in the straight back pedal without moving. Norb, who is he looking off to the left side? What receivers down here that he's looking off to?
Nobody.
This is what I love. This is the stuff that you don't get. Like I didn't know this until I pulled up the 22, a week ago and decided this is the next route of progression we're going to go with this. When I saw this, it was like that's the Russ that I miss, because there's so much, and this isn't about protection being better back then than it is now and all that stuff. It's about the situation, the timing, the hard count, the 5-step drop, set, throw. He's smart enough to look off, which means that this safety who's tired at the end of the game is he's not going to bolt over this way because he's back there at 25 yards, because his job is to keep everybody in front of him. But I mean, what a great concept that they ran on this play, right? 3 guys going deep on a hard count. Like anybody can make that concept up. It's a matter of running it at the right time, throwing it to the right guy on a perfectly timed throw. Like this to me was, again, that elevating. We go from down to head. I mean, there's just so many different things that take place here. And then obviously we get the fantastic finish.
I had this play of the plays that you had chosen and the ones and then you asked me, that play to Sidney Rice in the Patriots game win was one. And I also had this one as well. So we were definitely. So
I got one play left. I got one play left. And
yeah. But I was going to say before you move on to that, I was going to mention that about the whole look and looking the safety off. It kind of reminds me of, remember how Russell Wilson, he still does it, but I feel like he hasn't done as much. But the pump fake, like when he starts to scramble and he does the old pump fake, sometimes he'll pump fake. He's already crossed the line like 5 yards back, and he'll still pump fake and you get that linebacker, that guy coming up just to jump and think I have to block that pass, even though there's no way he's going to throw it because he's well over the line. But there's just something about that little movement gets them to just fall for the juke, and it buys them maybe an extra 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards. And
that's a great call. That's a great call. And I think that a lot of that is mindset, right? I mean, the last couple of years we've definitely seen, well, first we went from definite RPO, right? Run pass option with Marshawn, where it was Russ giving the ball or keeping it. And when he kept it, he was running around the end and getting yards and then sliding or doing his thing. Lately, it's been a lot of, kind of run pass, but there's really no option. Like he is reading, but you can tell that he's keeping the ball when they've told him, run this play, but keep the ball. It's a quarterback design. Go do your thing, slide, get down, what have you. So I think that's kind of gotten into him a little bit more. So he's not the aggressive guy that he was from high school to North Carolina State to Wisconsin to early years with the Seahawks. Then it's like, hey, we got to kind of hold you back, keep you fresh, do these other things. And so we took away some of his personality, which takes away those little nuances that, and people don't pick up on that. Like, I mean, you're seeing it and you're picking up on it as a guy who's seen it overall. But new coordinators come in, they go, a player's not going to recognize that they're not doing it as much unless a coach says, hey, you need to start doing that a little bit more. It's great, because I loved it too. Because I mean, how often do you see a quarterback who's past the line of scrimmage still doing the pump fake? Because as we've said, those lines that are on the field on the TV, they're not actually out there. So the linebacker doesn't know that Russ is past the line of scrimmage or not when he's going 40 miles an hour and they're all going as fast as they can. Just like Russ I always thought it was funny that Russ puts the ball out at the sideline when one official's 10 yards that way and another official might be 10 yards that way. That official's not going to know exactly where to put the ball. But there's a psychological piece that if he does that now, and he always did it early on, right at the first down marker, he's basically signifying to those north and south officials, I'm letting you know I got the first down and I got it easily by a yard.
Right.
I've seen him do that when he's a yard behind and get the spot.
Yeah.
Or close to, so because he gets the respect. And I mean, you can find that. I mean, Ray Lewis used to do some trick things that were unbelievable to get away with stuff. And there's offensive players, Jerry Rice. I mean, you can find all these players throughout the course of time. They have these little nuances. Well, Russ's is that infamous stick the ball up, but that has gone away, the pump fake. But again, it's because he's not the threat. Now, what do linebackers do? Hey, we're not going to bite on that pump fake, because once you scramble, your design is to get out of bounds or anything else. So we're going to light you up. We're going to just try to get to you. So he starts scrambling aside. You have to still have the threat of that cut back, all those other things, which has been taken away. I'm not going to say Russ chose to not do it. I think it was taken away from him over the last couple of years.
Well, I do hope to see Russell running more. I just think that's a weapon that it established him early. Has always been a thing that has been such an asset that he's had.
Yeah.
And have been wondering in recent years: is he choosing not to run, or are they designing him not to run? I understand protecting him and not putting him in harm's way, but there are plenty of times when, man, we could have used a rush or two here that could have gotten us out of some jams. That you see the replay and you go, man, the linebacker or the defensive end is just crashing so hard that if Russell keeps it, he's gone, and they haven't taken advantage of it. So I hope to see a little bit more of that.
And it's that 12th man. We've talked about it many times, that when you have a quarterback that can scramble, that is a legitimate, like whether it's by design on the bootleg, like that's why I love bootleg, because you got guys running in all of the tic-tac-toe areas, and you got a quarterback whose number one choice that I always told people, and at the college level they tell them, NFL not as much, quarterback, your number one option is to tuck the football away and run. If you can tuck the football away and get us 7 yards, 10 yards, cut back, whatever, do that. And because your job is to force that outside player, the linebacker usually, if he stays back, run the ball. And if he comes at you, then just dink it over the top to the tight end or fullback in the flat or whoever's going out into that area. That's what makes that's why I love that play so much. So when that quarterback can scramble or gives you that threat, it puts a lot of pressure on defenses. So when we kind of took that away, especially the read option part, like that to me was a big time bummer, because we ran that all the time to great success. And just him doing it once or twice a game meant that backside end and that backside linebacker, as you said,
they got to respect it.
They had to stay home. So they couldn't chase down Marsh on a cutback when usually they might be in that cutback area. Mm-hmm. They had to stay back for Russ. So those are little things I hope will be brought back. I think they're going to really look at everything over the course of time and go, hey, let's treat this like we have to win it this year, which I think that is their mentality. So what is going to bring out the best of Russ? What is the best of what he does? We've got the offense that can morph to those things, so let's do it. So
yeah, let's do it. Let's keep it rolling.
Final play. All right. So remember I showed you that one part with Joe Montana when it went from Coach Walsh to him? This is how I wanted to finish this one.
Oh yes.
It's kind of like telling the story, right? Like here he is, looking you in the eye. The situation is such, and if need be, let me know if I got to move myself here a little bit.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. So with that, here we go. We know the situation, but this is the play beforehand, which a lot of people would. If I was to tell people what was the play that got us to the play, most people wouldn't remember. So I'm going to show you two plays back to back. This one I'm just going to.
And I was going to tell you, Coach, that I never did get to finish giving you my list. This was going to be one of them, because without this, there's no that. So if people don't know what I'm talking about, right. This was a great play. Fantastic.
And I totally believe that would have been, so after Norb and I had our conversation, we kind of left it with, hey, if there's any other plays and if a play can break into the top 4 or 5, but I told him I had a couple of plays I didn't want to tell him that I had connected to some of these for this very reason. Well, going all the way back to what I started the show with as we get ready to end the show here, right? It was all about timing, precision, knowing when you want to throw, knowing who you need to throw to, and just making it happen, not trying to read and do things special. So here it is over to, like, we've just made this incredible comeback. And I do love that we had a coordinator that wasn't afraid to take a shot, take a risk. But the percentage of the risk of this is so much different than like a Hail Mary. Like what drives me crazy with a Hail Mary, Norb, is putting 3 receivers or 4 receivers to a side. So it could be a 4-on-4 down in the end zone. I said it on one of my first or second shows with you when we were doing the DK high jump deal. So why not put DK by himself, 1-on-1, maybe 2-on-1, and let him go 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 and try to win a Hail Mary? Well, that same concept comes in here. If you're going to take a big time play, then make it a quick 1-on-1 and make that play happen versus trying to do a bunch of deep, crazy stuff. And this feeds into what we'll see next week with Rice and some of these other things. So
now we should set up in case for those who don't. To me, the moment you see this picture, you know exactly what game this is. But if you don't remember, this is the NFC Championship game of 2014, overtime in that classic comeback. This is the Seahawks' first possession in overtime. Well, the only possession in overtime. Mm-hmm. This was crucial because they had, as you see on the screen, they're 3rd and 6. If they don't convert this, they have to punt the ball back to Aaron Rodgers, and they can win it with a field goal. So they had to get this play, and this was as nail-biting deciding a play at any moment of the game as they had, which they had many, but this one was huge. So go ahead, Coach.
And that drive is why I think of AR the way I think of AR, because unlike the Bears, who no one expected them to come back in that game, and then we still went overtime. I think everybody thought once we got our touchdown to go ahead, we left too much time on the clock. But I'm one like, hey, if you can score, score. So it wasn't like, hey, Marshawn, go down at the 1 so we can eat time up, because we found out what happens if he doesn't score from the 7-yard line. We end up throwing picks. So to make that situation happen, and then AR goes down, they get the field goal. We don't want to give him the ball back here. Like, we have to do something. So on 3rd and 6, like, this to me is the ultimate. Every 12 who's watching this game is making a prediction of what they want. And no one predicts this play, I don't think, right? You're thinking, okay, Marshawn, they're going to punt it, or maybe slants it. Any combination of anything. I don't think anybody saw this one coming. So here's the play, which again, to me, is it elevated Russ to just another one of those things, but it's part A of 2 piece. Here we go. So he's reading it. Play again. People who would watch this, if we didn't just kind of talk about it and people didn't have a chance to see it here, if after this play, I would have said, okay, everybody hanging out with me watching this game, let's have some fun on those final 2 plays. On the second to last play, I'm going to draw up the formation on a piece of paper. I want everybody to tell me where Baldwin lined up. You know what 90% of the people are going to say? Well, he obviously lined up down here. Nope. He lined up here. Yet he caught the ball going down the sidelines. Right? So part of the design of West Coast offense is, how do you get your best players in space? To me, it was, Baldwin is the unheralded guy next to Fitzgerald and some of those other guys who really took the slot position to another level. Yes, there's Wes Welker and all those other guys that were like true slots over time. But Baldwin using the Allen Iverson, killer crossover move all the time is what elevated him from the receiver he was to the receiver he became, because he could become a slot that became a deep route guy down the sideline, a 25-yard route. So just watch 3-step drop, but just at the initial part, I want you to just watch Baldwin's, how he gets onto this. He knows the guy's right up in his face, so he has to do something. Boom. He does what's become a very famous skip step that a lot of people credit Baldwin with, because it is a basketball move. It was Allen Iverson's famous crossover, and Baldwin talks about it all the time. The killer crossover was hopping on the same foot and then driving off that foot, and a DB doesn't know what you're doing. He literally dropped off the foot, and it just as an appreciation piece for it before we come back to Russ. Most receivers were not doing this back 5 years ago. It was like this new concept. He hops off of both feet, which you would never tell a receiver to do back then, because of jamming. If he's jamming you, you're thinking this guy's going to jam right. He's going to knock you on your rear end. Well, he recognized by film study that's how this guy plays. So he hops. That sets this guy up to also land on 2 feet. Doesn't know where he's going. Inside leverage, and then he bounces onto the same left foot and then drives off. So that left foot never truly got in front of the right foot. Right? Bunny hop, plant, press, and go. Now he's pushing up on it, and out here was just a hard stem to the outside, press to the inside, receiver on here, inside, and that allowed Baldwin to get out around to the far outside. And again, going back to Russ now, the play that felt like a 50-yard bomb because it was just so nice and fluid, right? Which, of course, leads us to the final play. The play that leads us to all things. Now, this is what I like, is this is one of the few times you get to see. I like when we're behind the offense, and we got the lower view.
This is the Madden cam right here.
This is the Madden cam, yeah, and it actually looks like we're both playing Madden right now.
Right.
To make it happen, no. How far was the throw? It was a 35-yard pass. We only need a field goal. Like this is the beauty of it. This is why I love the West Coast offense, because this is not a 20% pass or a 10% or 12%. This is as high efficient as an intermediate pass in most offenses, the 10 to 12. I'm not going to say it's as high percentage as a slant or hitch or an out route, but the fact that they ran this, they set it up, they knew where players were, and Russ could see before the play what he has coming, right? He knows that there's single safety up to the top, but look what they got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They've got 11 guys within 8 yards. So if we were when they first broke it from here, You'd think that safety's back there away. It's like, okay, well, man, they got a deep safety back there. Well, that deep safety is right here. And now look where he went. This is the part that people don't see, right? So when this play takes place, why is it so high percentage? Because the deepest man on the field is 7 yards right now. This is their entire defense. Like, this is why I got to emphasize this. To me, this is the beauty of this play. The entire defense is here. So why does Russ get to make this pass that they've called? Because early in the game, they've run in this type of setup where Russ set up before Lynch, where they'd come out in the I formation and shifted because they saw what happened. Hey, if we go I formation and shift, Green Bay does this thing because we always do it on early downs. So when they shift, Green Bay does that. It's an early down. It's 1st and 10. So we did that a few times. Let's save it. And you'll see when I show you how all these guys highlight and write things during the games. Let's save it for a big point. But no one thinks in overtime when you're in field goal range, like who in America thinks they're handing Marshawn Lynch versus who doesn't? So,
yeah, they're totally expecting the run here.
Yeah, you're expecting Russ to turn and hand the ball off. Instead, like you can see, the last point of that we have here is this. The small nuance of the offense, and you see it with Goff all the time. Goff always puts his hands on his hip before the snap, but he's got 5 different hand placements around his hip and how he puts his hand there that signifies something to the receiver and the back to that side or behind him. We call him that. He's not the halfback traditionally, but he's half of a back to the side of the receiver, whoever can see him. That's why he's putting her. Russ has every team has their own little signals, right? There's definitely communication that takes place here. Whatever route was given, a checkoff took place. And he got the okay to run something else because it's basically Russ saying, hey, there's nobody in the middle of the field. So if I don't like it, because I'm going to look at it the whole time, I'll just throw it. I'll throw it as far as I can. I'll throw it middle. But he's got this whole middle of the field to work with. So if he recognizes that Curse gets to the inside, it's no brainer. And aiming point, last point I'll say here, for the Nick LeBeaus out there and all those others that might want to coach someday, when you throw a post route, your aiming point as the quarterback is the post, like not the uprights, but the post. If you're throwing it deep, you aim to the post. So a quarterback that's 5'2", just throw it to the post. Your receivers are taught, hey, stem, do whatever you need. But when you make your break on a deep post route, run to the near upright to your side. So think about that. I run to the near upright to my side. Quarterback's going to throw to the pipe that's in the middle of that goalpost. As the ball's in the air, now I can adjust inside to that ball. Quarterback's just trying to find the receiver. He's going to throw it at the receiver. He overthrows him. Receiver has to turn around or whatever. That's where the precision takes place. Quarterback, no matter where you sprint out, scramble, it doesn't matter. Find the post, throw it to the post. Receiver on the backside near, it doesn't matter. When you run your post route, run it to the near side post, and there'll be a mesh point down there. That's why that Sidney Rice one worked. That's why this one worked. So here you go. Like this because this is Norb before he became NorbCam. This was when he got special guest appearances, the mascot for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps, get people excited. I think there's just so many. It's hard to decide how you're going to break these things down and to look. Obviously Russ is an incredibly talented individual on so many levels. But when I look at the stuff that he's done, like it was easy for me to pick 4 of the plays. It was just which of the, who was going to be my 5th play. And then going back in time, I could have picked a lot of things, but I just wanted to go back to the where I felt like the West Coast offense has started because I've been saying it so many times. I need to show a little bit of it to see where it comes now and to take a Montana and a Wilson and go, look, as long as they're playing, their mindset is great. Their competition level is great. Russell had Joe Montana on his show a month or 2 ago, so it's like, it's all right there, man. Like I got to think Russ is picking his brain, like the stuff we don't see. So yeah, I'm amped about this.
Yeah, those are great plays to relive. So,
and that is fun too. It is fun reliving. I mean, who doesn't get nostalgic about that in a good way? Because that's where we want to be. That's different than let's bring back Cam Chancellor to do this and do that, which I get and I understand, and I'd be for it if he's ready and he wants to coach. But this to me is more like, hey, we can actually learn from this. Like, let's go back into the current history and take something from it we can learn with current players versus let's get, Richard Sherman 2.0 and Cam Chancellor 2.0, and those aren't going to happen.
Yep, absolutely. So at this point, as we're reaching the end of the show, this is a chance to call in if you have a question or a comment for Coach Marsh. You can do so at the phone number there at the bottom of the screen, and you can also jump in on Discord. I do see at least one person there on the Discord that we can go to. So with a few minutes left, we'll definitely take any of your
and again,
calls
leave
or
comments too if you have questions or you want to hear more about certain things or certain stuff, West Coast offense or what have you. Obviously, this next series we're still staying with this for a little bit longer, but let us know or let me know or let Norb know so we can build things around what you want to see.
Hugo Daniel in the chat says, please tell the Asian guy I love his voice. I'm from Brazil. So Hugo Daniel, I'm glad you like my voice. I appreciate that very much. And thank you for watching all the way from South America. So, we have people from South America watching this. How that happens, I have no idea, but it's very cool. So
you're going to get one of those. Remember that back in the day, they had the pin maps where you'd get a map.
Oh, yeah. You
pin.
Yep.
You need to get a pin map where people say they call in from like Germany and like put the little pin in the map.
I could have the fake. I could have a digital map with a digital pin and go and show it that way too. So, but it's
I'm sorry,
awesome.
I didn't mean to actually get a paper map, Norb. And
I thought you maybe actually.
I know
did.
I'm a grandpa, but I didn't mean like actually get a legit an actual paper map.
It's cool to have a paper map. Actually, maybe I will just get a paper map with some pins, push pins, and just hold it up and go. This is where they're from, put the map back down. So it's awesome.
That'd be like the rotary phone. It'd be like me showing my kids the rotary phone and them going, what is that? How do you use it? You actually pull it up to your ear.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen some videos watching kids try to use that thing, and they don't know what they're doing, but it's pretty hilarious. All right, so speaking of kids, we got our first caller here on Discord. This is no stranger to the show, Seahawks for Life, who has coached me many times on Madden. In fact, last night, spent some time on there. But Seahawks for Life, welcome back to the show. What's on your mind today?
Thanks for letting me be back.
Yep.
First, I want to congratulate. So I kind of want to talk about more of play action plays because I bet that's the direction we're gonna go. Does it make it more? Does play action plays make it more separation for the wide receivers? Do you have to kind of like pull the guard, like offensive lineman when you're doing play actions, or just like make them stiff or still?
Hey, that's great call on the second part there, because I haven't mentioned that in terms of lineman pulling. It's absolutely part of what the new offense will be doing. It's what the new West Coast is doing, where you're pulling the guard, you're making it look like a run one way, and then sometimes you'll see a guard who pulls out the direction that the bootleg's going. Typically they used to call it the naked bootleg, where you left your quarterback out there all by themselves, and there's a risk, right, that some linebackers are going to come and get a good shot at him. So that's when teams started making it look like a run's going one direction, but then pulling a guard because you'd have a running back is going to fill that spot that guard's going to go to. So it's oftentimes the guard on the play side, but it can be the or the center. There have been uncovered centers that they'll uncover, meaning there's not a lineman right in front of them or to either side of their gap. That could be the person they can pull around every once in a while. And to answer the first part, yeah, it absolutely is about creating. I mean, everything's about trying to create separation with wide receivers, and separation only needs to be 2 yards. With Russ, it can be even less than that. But if you can get a 2-yard separation, it's no different than when people say, hey, if the receiver gets his hands on the football, that now becomes the receiver's responsibility to catch the football. So absolutely, the running plays, set that up based on linebackers have to bite on it. So you're trying to slip people behind. The magician cowboy concept I talk about all the time is 100% based on the philosophy of the bootleg, about a quarterback turning around. And that's my verbiage. So other teams use other verbiage with their quarterbacks. I just found that for me, I always called my quarterbacks cowboys. Just wanting to be comfortable, relaxed. Hey, like, you got to be the coolest cat in the ship here. Be a cowboy. But when you turn around, you do the play action. You need to be a magician. You got to put the ball in their stomach. You got to put the ball in your own stomach. You got to do different things, because those linebackers, they don't know where the ball is. So be a magician. But as soon as you come back around to that apex, you got to be back to being a cowboy, be under control, do your thing. But that magician piece is where that separation will happen for those wide receivers. And I'm pointing that way because I'm pretending to be a quarterback who's now my back is the line of scrimmage. So that's where you get the separation in there. But you have to set that up by running the ball early on. There's going to be times where we run it when we think, why are we running it at this point? give Waldron a chance to establish himself and establish those things, because he's going to be like everybody else. They script their first 15 or 20 plays, and they usually do not go off that script. And it's because they want to see something for down the road. Like, ironically, this leads to a little different piece here. Teams don't like to score quickly in their first drive. They would rather drive and score than right off the bat get a score and make it happen. Now, don't get me wrong. Teams want to go ahead. We all want them to get ahead. But it messes up the script when they might want to go first play. I would do it. First play goes to the sweep to the right, which means now we're on the right hash. So I want to run a play back to the left, slant pass. Now I want to run a play short field, hash into this. So they're trying to run these things to see what the defenses are. Well, if all of a sudden you score, and then the next possession is a punt that comes back to you, and now you're inside your own 2-yard line. So now you got to run your backed up red zone offense. That can affect what happens down the road, and it affects the running game, which then affects the bootleg, which then affects all those other things. So it becomes a domino effect. Good question. Good 2-part question there, man.
All right. Yep.
Thank you.
Great question. Did you have anything else?
Yeah. Is a play action pass consider like an all around? Is it considered as like a short pass? Is it a medium pass?
It's a scheme. Good question. Really good question. So when we talk schemes and then concepts, remember the umbrella is you come in with an offense, let's say West Coast offense. Some people are now calling it like the one back West Coast and other things. Let's say we're coming in with the West Coast offense. That's our umbrella. Our schemes are going to be short pass, deep pass, which can be passing stuff. It could be bootleg, some other things. So then within the bootleg, we're going to run concepts. We're going to run different plays, concepts inside of that bootleg. We're going to run different plays inside of our zone running game. Or some teams will have inside and outside zone. Those are schemes, inside zone, outside zone. So anything that someone says that you can't draw a play off of, consider that a scheme. If I say, hey, go run a bootleg play. Well, you got to give me the play first. Well, I've given you a scheme. If I say, hey, you go there and you go here and you go here and you go here, now that's a concept I'm giving you for the bootleg. So yeah, bootleg is its own group of plays that you run lots of different variations of. And again, in this offense, how he's probably going to bring it with Waldron, I imagine it's going to be teach a few bootleg concepts, so a few plays, and let's run them out of 20 different formations. So just know where you need to go by rule, that's how I ran mine. I gave every position 2 rules, a rule when we bootleg to you and a rule when we bootleg away from you. But then I had easily 15 to 20 formations every year. So if my kids mastered the formations, we could run the same play over and over and over, and a team would think they're seeing a different play and different receivers catching the ball, and it's just the same play.
Yep, that's the beauty of it. All right, Seahawks for life. Thank you for the questions. Those were excellent. So,
hey, I saw a quick draft question that I think somebody asked about 2.5 quality starters. I think our miss in the draft. I don't like to always blame it on coaching. But there is something about how we develop players in the early years and the coaches we have. And that's part of what happens when coaches leave. I mean, we had some good coordinators that went off to try to be head coaches. And when those your coordinators do so much of the coaching, and then those position coaches, you hope are going to coach them well. But, coordinators are driving that ship. When you lose coordinators like we did during the Super Bowl run, which is normal, that impacts the trickle down. So now you might draft someone, but, it's like human life, right? If I'm adopted and I go into this family, and if I'm adopted, I go into that family, it's going to be a totally different life, right? So if I go into getting drafted and I come into the family of the Seattle Seahawks defensively under that coordinator, and he's going to hire these position coaches, I could be coached totally different than the team who was lucky the year before to have the Super Bowl defensive coordinator who now is no longer with them, took 2 of his defensive position coaches. So that's why we have not done as well the last few years, not because we have not drafted well, we have not developed well. But I think that again speaks to coaching, and it's not every position, right? I mean, certain positions, running backs, they're developing, and I'd say receiver, we certainly have developed receivers, and then so you have to get lucky. So that's my answer there. I think we have drafted right. It's hard to say if we've drafted the right guys, right? Because they haven't produced. But I'm not one to say they haven't produced because of their athletic ability or that we drafted poorly. I would push it more like But I'm that way, Norb. You know me, man. I'm the guy who's always going to find like the odd little wrinkle because it's too easy to jump on.
Yeah, just say, they chose the wrong guys. It's their fault, right? Yeah.
Like he was a bust. Now you talk about the quarterbacks we drafted back in the prehistoric Hawk days. Like I could do a lot of episodes on that. Those were busts that we messed up big time on those drafts. But how many teams draft somebody big time in the first round that doesn't work? So that's why, again, I look at who's there to develop them. And again, look at the coordinators we had, look at the guys that run underneath them and how many of them left within a year or two. And then we just didn't replace that type of, it doesn't matter how great Coach Carroll is. He's not coordinating and coaching those individual players and doing those individual things.
All right. Well, Coach, we're at that time. I was hoping to keep this within the length of the movie Star Wars, and I think we're just about there. So we weren't going to run this on a Titanic
as long as you don't say
level.
Braveheart, as long as you don't throw the Braveheart thing up.
I was just going to say, we are not approaching Braveheart levels, so we're doing well there.
And are you playing a division game tonight? Is there a division rematch tonight on Madden, or what's the matchup?
No.
I'm trying to shamelessly plug your
no, thank you. No, there's so many aspects. They got face of the franchise, they got the replaying the 2020 season. But no, tonight is just about you, Coach.
By the way, go ahead. Tell me what you're going to do. Tell me what tonight.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I'm not sure when I'm going to get to it now because we've got our show tonight, tomorrow roundtable, Thursday night doing a special draft. Opening day of the draft in person with some special Discord guests. And Friday, I'm leaving town for another tournament for my girls. So it's a busy week. I might have to wait for the next Madden episode till after the weekend. So, but what were you going to say about?
Okay, so 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tonight. You'll be playing Madden. Got it. Okay, duly noted. I was going to say that you added obviously a lot, as people were trying to add on, I had a call this morning. Like, this is a really cool pump up for you. I had a call this morning with a guy by the name of Bob Hickey. And Bob Hickey, he was ranked number 2 in the world as an archery. He did archery. Just a phenomenal archery guy back in our era in the 90s. After graduation, he dives into a lake and breaks his neck. So he's quadriplegic now.
Oh, man.
But he was scheduled to go to the Olympics, all this other stuff, and then he became number 1, number 2 in the world for years, as in the Paralympics, everything else. So we've connected over the last few months, just a project. He comes on today and he's like, "Man, it is so funny watching these people that watch that NorbCam guy do play that Madden game. Like, are they doing that?" So we end up talking for like 30 minutes about the concept of how people watch people play and all this. But he had told me a few weeks ago that he started watching my younger roundtable with the younger kids. So then he started watching this. So I just thought it was cool that like right out of the shoot today when we're talking, he's talking about how he'd watched you play Madden last night.
Wow, really? That's awesome.
That so just know, man, you got a guy who's like, he's very, very well respected. Number 1, number 2 ranked guy in the world for years, but he's like one of the number 1 ranked human beings I've ever met in my life. I mean, this guy's mindset for life. When I start doing my one-on-one interview show with these people.
Well, I was going to ask, so is he going to be do you have a show scheduled with him, or is that kind of in the works?
Like I said, May is when I'm launching a couple of things, but yeah, I've got him. I had a really neat conversation with Ray Roberts the other day.
Bob Hickey just commented. He's actually here watching right now. He says, "Love you, Coach."
Oh, is he watching? There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, and I tell you what, you want to know what's fascinating about Bob Hickey? He doesn't mind me saying, because we've talked about all this stuff. He texts and types all his stuff, man. So here, he has very limited use of his arms and legs and everything. You think the guy is the happiest guy on the planet. All he wants to do is impact people, impact humans. He's part of this unbelievable project called the Hanger Project, where they're raising $20 million to do this thing for kids, inclusivity, having fun. It's gonna be the biggest indoor neighborhood in the country. No. Doing all sorts of stuff, and this guy is like leading the charge on it. The guy's unbelievable. He's absolutely unbelievable. So anyway, I wanted to, I wasn't even going to say his name until you thought about the Madden thing. I thought, oh man, it's just cool. As you're trying to branch out again, the impact that you have on people, Norb, is so cool to the point that you got other people jumping in, and now they're enjoying it. And now he's obviously back watching us again. Right?
Yeah, that was just fantastic.
That to me is what this is all about, man.
Well, I wanted to add to it. I did a few videos talking about Kurt Warner and his autistic sons, and we talk about throwbacks to the prehistoric Hawk days and the players that we used to love watching, and because of my involvement with our charity Fans for Good, that because I've involved with my friend Mark Collins, who was part of the Save Our Seahawks movement that kept the Seahawks in Seattle enough so that Paul Allen decided to keep, write the check and keep the team in town. The charity that we do together, is that because we heard about the Kurt Warner story and we ended up talking to him. It was actually Dave Craig who reached out to Mark, and then we ended up talking to Dave, saw his video about Kurt Warner. So then we ended up reaching out to Kurt Warner and saying, hey, is there some way we can help? And that's why we did launch that fundraiser to try to help him out and to get his autistic sons to be able to have some form of independent life. And it's great, and we're working with the Seahawkers organization. They have the Seahawkers organization here, but they have chapters all around the world, all around the country, and they're starting to work together to help raise funds for them with little incentives like autographed memorabilia for each chapter who can raise a certain amount of money. And so it's starting to get rolling. It's slow going, but it's one of those things. It's just it's a marathon as we try to get awareness out there, but. At the same time, I'm looking at my phone and my texts, and sometimes I have to kind of pinch myself because all this is just happening because we're just trying to do these things that kind of come to in front of us, and we're trying to, help out where we can. But then I start looking and going, wow, I have phone calls and text messages with Dave Craig and with Kurt Warner, and telling them how much they really love the videos that I've been doing to help them, and it's
that is so awesome,
and it's just great because these guys, I idolized these guys when I was, in elementary school, and watched them, and I was like, oh man, these guys are classic Seahawk players that will always be part of my memory of this team. And now I get to talk with them and not just communicate with them, but actually trying to do some way to help impact and help their lives. So it's a wonderful thing that is really because of the fact that we have these platforms that we're able to, Bob Hickey, I wouldn't have known his story without you sharing that with me, and that wouldn't have come out.
There you go, right there.
There we go.
Based on, I was talking with them like, hey, do you mind? I'm gonna do a little thumbnail for our little thing we're gonna do, and so I just put that. I mean, that's him coaching there, and that's him as a kid. Before obviously the accident, he's coaching people up. And I mean, this guy does video. He does breakdown a video with this analytical thing where he's got like 8 cameras and he's doing it from his home, analyzing people at his next step archery location. Wow. I mean, it's like, but like you said, the impact that we can have on people's lives, the impact you've had on me just jumping on this, you've brought me back to life. Like I can't even imagine. Now I'm connecting with people I didn't think about connecting with. And like you said, you connect with heroes from our days that now they don't see themselves as heroes, as players. They're trying to just be humanitarian heroes. So it's cool, man. Like it is really cool. It's really, really cool. And we need more people like you, like Bob Hickey, like others, because all we hear about is so much negative stuff that like, I want Nick LeBeau and Rain and Chef Jack Attack and all those guys. Like I want them to aspire to meet people that are positive influences and things like that. There is great stuff going on in the world that you can't find good stuff on, internet and YouTube. It's not all as bad as people say. It can be frustrating. We get down, but then you're reminded with perspective. Like sometimes we have it pretty good. And a guy like Bob, if that guy can be happy all the time and loving life and you want to be a difference maker, what am I sulking about, man?
All right.
Like, well, what am I sulking about when that guy's the difference maker he is? Or Dave Craig's doing his thing for an old buddy and you're doing what you do all the time.
Well,
Good
what
stuff,
I realized
man.
too is as I got to talk to Kurt Warner, once I got past I'm talking to Kurt Warner, he's the legendary tailback, Ring of Honor for the Seahawks. But I realized talking to him is that he's also now he's just a man trying to do well for his family, and I think sometimes people get caught up in the fact thinking, well, he's a famous football player, he certainly doesn't need my help. But in reality, this situation is a lifelong issue that the kids are going to have to live with. They're never going to be able to live a life independently, fully independent on their own. There's no getting to the end of the tunnel. It is,
and he tore his knee in 1982 or 83. So the Kurt Warner we're talking about, just in case people might be talking about. And again, I don't watch super chat stuff other than I caught it a few seconds ago on the one question about the draft.
Oh yeah, Lena Dahl can
it's CURT.
clarifying
Kurt
that.
Warner. He is a prehistoric Hawk. Would have been he was drafted third, I think, after Eric Dickerson. And I can't remember the quarterback that was drafted, but he was part of the greatest draft class of all time.
Yeah, they moved up to get him. Yeah, awesome running back out of Penn State. Came all the way from
his first run was an 80-yard run, his first ever touch, Kansas City. At Kansas City. Anyway, the point being, he wasn't making a lot of money back in 1982 and 83, and then he gets hurt. So that's why when I look at these guys, I'm like, yeah, they were heroes as heroes, and they worked hard, and now they're giving back. And now he's a human being, and he's just trying to move through, and it's It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's cool. And
well, I'm excited, Coach, for your channel. I know
so
you've
let's
been
get Norb up where he needs to be. Like, right. That's why people from Brazil and Germany, like, I know you kind of hit this plateau, so I want to help you. It's not just saying it, but doing it. And so, well, let's just get you over that plateau, because I think people need to see this stuff. It's not self-promoting. It's just me saying, like, we're trying to do some good. We're trying to put smiles on people's faces and bring joy to people's lives. The X's and O's. It's a fun part of what we do. I don't take it personal, just having some fun with it, but it's a fun platform, and I'm glad that you helped me discover it. So,
oh yeah,
well, go be with your family.
I'm excited to see. Yeah, I'm excited to see your show. I'm excited to see your story and your interview to come about Bob Hickey. I can't wait to get to know him through your show. And I'm excited. I'm working on this. I know it's going to happen. I just haven't put it out there yet. But speaking of Kurt Warner and Dave Craig, I believe I'm going to have the two of them on a future show as guests to talk about football in the 80s and to talk a little bit more about his story. But really, to get those two together, quarterback and running back, who was part of that first team to ever make the playoffs for the Seahawks and that awesome run back in the early 80s. Man, that is going to be a blast. So
I'll definitely get my Prius Storehawk stuff launched, so that way you can not to plug my stuff, but I think it'll just be fun, especially with you connecting with all those guys, because I think that's going to be a fun parallel stream
for sure
of looking back, because I think that's, again, we always joke that people don't realize that there was football before 2000 or 2010 around here, and there's just some really cool guys a lot of them are in the area and they're giving back, and even if they're not, like, it's cool. So
yeah,
good
all
stuff,
right,
man.
Well, we don't have to wrap the show up, really, because all you got to do is go to one of these other screens on here and watch more great content. So I hope you'll do that.
I always go there. Maybe I'll go. I'm going to go right over.
Or the one that's right here in front of my face. That one's a good one, too. But yes, so please continue watching. We appreciate it. And tune in next time for the next edition as we continue this multi-part series with Coach Bill Marsh on the Coach's Corner, talking about the future, not too distant future, of the Seattle Seahawks under Shane Waldron. And Alina with Before I Wrap says, ask them to get Steve Largent in on the convo. Boy, that'd be the trifecta if I can get the three of them.
I think Steve gets his own hour.
Yeah, yeah, but we'll see what we can do. I think Dave is the one who kind of he's kind of the central hub of everybody. So we'll see if he can pull some strings. But
I'm gonna get Jim and him together so they can redo their famous milk commercial.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, to get Jim Zorn would be fantastic. I actually saw Jim Zorn. I didn't get the chance to really talk to him, but when I went to Mama Blue's 90th birthday, they did a little drive-by parade by her house. So a whole bunch of us went up there, and Jim Zorn was there. He's the one who actually presented Mama Blue with the Fan of the Year award. So I got to see him there with amongst some other people who are hanging out there. So I know he's still around the area. But yeah, when we're talking about greats, Jim Zorn, Steve Largent, Dave Craig, Kurt Warner, good times. So hopefully on the show coming up soon.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Everybody have a great night. We'll see you at the next one. Go Hawks.